Seeing as I don't think, I probably shouldn't count my eggs before they hatch, but I'm going to do it right here. The Thunder are up 30 on the Nuggets with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So I might as well drop this video earlier so you guys can get it. But I can't remember the last time the NBA playoffs were this crazy. And not just crazy like we do every year when we see a good game or whatever. Like, oh, this is the best game ever, all this other stuff, right? I have been legit stunned at some of the endings of these games, man. The Pacers last night going up 2-0 against Cleveland on the road, by the way. They're going up to Indiana with a 2-0 lead, or going to Indiana with a 2-0 lead. And we have another 60-win team that is facing an 0-2 deficit, now going on the road, the Boston Celtics. And it kind of was a carbon copy, not exactly because the last game went into overtime, obviously, but the Celtics just decided to see. There's always going to be this weird discourse about the Celtics and their threes because they take a lot of them. They have a lot of guys that could shoot really well from three. My issue with the Celtics sometimes, as an objective fan, of course, just taking my Sixer fandom out of it, is that there are stretches where within the flow of the game, and I hate to use the term settle, but they do settle sometimes, not settle in the traditional boomer sense. I'm talking about early threes in the shot clock. One pass away. Like Zach Lowe has always talked about it with the Celtics, even before they won their championship, or the year they went on to win their championship, actually. Zach Lowe would always chronicle all the drives per game. Zach Lowe would always chronicle how often every game do the Celtics drive to the hoop, because while they do have 6 players that could shoot really well from three, 4 of those players, 4 in the starting lineup with Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, can all beat you off the dribble, run a pick and roll, run a ball screen action. They're really good shooters, so you could set off-ball screens for them, and then you have Kristaps Porzingis that take the top off everything. Al Horford also gives you nice backup center minutes, all that stuff. And it's really when the Celtics get to driving to the paint and spraying the ball out, and then that's when the threes really start becoming deadly. Also, some of the decision-making was just really bad, especially from, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday. The Knicks, trio of wings, they're doing their job. OG Anunoby's blowing plays up off the ball. Josh Hart is stonewalling or trying to stonewall Jaylen Brown drives, even though Jaylen Brown had a, better game in this game than last game. Bridges, of course, especially with the game-saving play at the end. But some of the decision-making, the early threes, there were a few transition, opportunities where there was one corner three Tatum had in the fourth quarter late in that game where the Celtics allowed a 21-2 run at one point. But Al Horford sealed under the basket. Jason Tatum got the ball in the corner, and Tatum took a three and bricked it. And you want to say, hey, the Celtics did miss a bunch of open threes. Derek White went 3 of 11. Tatum went 1 of 5. Brown went 2 of 7. But it's also about how those threes are generated. And I just thought, especially in that fourth quarter and during that big run, it just felt like the Celtics were still kind of, shooting the three ball early instead of, making the ball move a little bit, maybe get to the basket, get a foul or two. And you hope, the progression to the mean shooting wise will help the Celtics out. But how long can you wait when you're now down 2-0? And by the way, credit to the Knicks for doing a great job coming back in both of these games. Karl Anthony Towns was a monster in this game. He didn't have, the 30 and 20 type of game or whatever, but on the glass, he was big boying Al Horford, made some key baskets. Josh Hart was getting his buckets in transition, was 3 of 6 from 3. And I bet you, we are not going to hear a lot more jokes about all those first-round picks the Knicks gave up for Mikal Bridges. 2 games in a row, Mikal Bridges seals the game for the Knicks. How many points did he have in the fourth quarter? 13. Of course, had the aforementioned steal on Tatum at the end. No one's going to be making those first-round pick jokes anymore now, huh? Jalen Brunson, of course, making some big shots as the Knicks were continuing their run. I just still can't believe the Celtics allowed a 21-2 run. And the Celtics are playing great defense. I mean, they held the Knicks to 91 points. But at some point, in the second halves especially, like I was looking at the shot charts from the first half of game 1 and the second half of game 1, and it was just a stark difference. And when you look at the shot charts from the first and second half of tonight's game, it's the same thing. Celtics were getting into the paint, drawing fouls, getting to the line. Jaylen Brown especially was aggressive. But then in that second half, the drives just stopped. Especially, in that fourth quarter. But these playoffs, man, they've been topsy-turvy. And the other factor with the Celtics, much like with the Cavs, and I talked about it yesterday a little bit, the injuries are really starting to take its toll. Like, I don't know what Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with, but it's very clear, I guess, he's dealing with an illness. And that's somebody that could truly take the top off of the Celtics and what they could be as a team. That's like the ultimate ceiling raiser. And then it looks like Tatum's dealing with this wrist injury on his shooting hand. And I can't imagine that feels great. Jaylen Brown, of course, is dealing with, or has been dealing with, the knee. Drew Holiday, hamstring. I don't know. When you look at the Celtics core, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and now that Derek White has been here for 3 years now, he's sort of part of these deep playoff runs also. Drew Holiday has also been a part of deep playoff runs, different teams, mind you, but this could be the wear and tear starting to take effect. And I was also thinking about this. I think every year before the season has started, the last 3 seasons, before every season, I picked the previous champion to repeat. I picked the Warriors to repeat after they won the 2022 title. I picked the Nuggets to repeat after the 2023 title that they won. And that didn't happen. Obviously, the Celtics won. And before the season, and I certainly was not alone in this, a lot of people, everybody basically, had the Celtics repeating. So maybe this is the genesis of the Sly Hooper kiss of death. As a Sixer fan, I guess it doesn't matter who wins or who loses. I win either way. Although I do want the Knicks to lose because that would mean the Sixers would be the sole proprietors of the second round joke, having not made it out of the second round since 2001, and the Knicks having not made it out the second round since 1999. And I don't want that to happen. No. But it is what it is. I guess I gave the Celtics the Sly Hooper kiss of death. Will I pick this year's champion to repeat next year? Who knows? And before I make my final point, I just saw the stat where, before this season at least, a 60-plus win team has not started a second-round series down 0-2, and now we have 2 of them, the Celtics and the Cavs. And by the way, I'm not calling these series over. The fans can be overconfident. The Knicks have every right to be overconfident. The Pacers, obviously, have every right to be, feeling good and confident and stuff like that. I'm just saying, if the playoffs have been crazy so far, there's a chance that it could continue to get crazy. I'm trying to remember, but there were recent playoffs where the team with home court advantage started down 0-2. Aha, I remember. It was these very Boston Celtics, of course, minus Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago now. They lost that series, but they were down 0-3, forced a Game 7 back in Boston, and then, of course, Tatum, sprained his ankle early in the game. Who knows what would have happened, but I'm just saying, if some crazy results like the road team winning the first 2 games of the series happens, there's a good chance that more crazy shit might happen, and you shouldn't easily think that the Pacers or the Knicks are going to close out their respective series with a sweep. Now watch, as I'm done recording, this is probably going to happen, and this video will age like milk, but I do still think you have to respect the fact that the Cavs and the Celtics are elite. They are also not healthy right now, but that's not the Knicks or the Pacers' problem. They have earned these wins, and they are going home to rabid fan bases, and these two teams are going to have to figure it out. But my point is, they do have the ability to figure it out.